Hello, everyone. My name is Sri Lakshmi, and I'm the host for today's webinar on the future of the wedding and MICE industry. On behalf of the entire EWPC team, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the second module of the EWPC webinar series. With the objective to guide the MICE and wedding industries towards revival and sustained growth in the present challenging times, we are delighted to present experts from versatile backgrounds on the speaker panel. We are thrilled with your response of over 400 registrations from 40 different countries to join this webinar. Thank you, and we hope that you find this immensely valuable. Before we begin the session, I would like to take you through the functionalities of this platform. Your participation is important throughout the session. You will see a control panel at the top right of your screen. The orange button on the top right can be used to collapse and expand the control panel. If you have any questions for the speakers, please enter the same under the questions option in the control panel. Your queries will be answered at the end of the session. You may also raise your hands towards the end in order to directly ask the question. Currently, we have everyone on mute to avoid any disturbance. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you our incredible panelists for the day. We have with us Steen Jakobsen, who is the Associate Vice President at Dubai Tourism, where he oversees Dubai business events and city operations at the Official Convention Bureau of Dubai. We have with us Dr. Ali Follad, who is the Acting Director of Marketing and Tourism Promotion at Bahrain Tourism and Exhibitions Authority. With years of profound experience in tourism industry, he is currently the advisor and the Acting Director of Marketing at Bahrain Tourism. We also have with us Saida El Massmoudi, who is the Director of Wedding and Special Events at JA The Resort, Dubai. She oversees the wedding and special events at JA The Resort, where she brings with her 13 years of experience in weddings and events, from intimate gatherings to large-scale weddings with 3,000 guests. We also have with us Zeynep Öden, who's the Cluster Commercial Director of Raffles Dubai and Sofitel Dubai Wafi. With 20 years of diverse sales and marketing experience in luxury hospitality, Zeynep is responsible for developing commercial strategies for Raffles Dubai and soon to open Sofitel Dubai Wafi. We also have with us Tasneem Alibhai, who is the founder of TA Weddings and Special Occasions. She's a seasoned event management professional and the founder of TA Weddings and Special Occasions, which is a leading innovative wedding and special occasions company. And moderating the discussion, we have Rhiannon Downie, who is the creative director and founder of brideclubme.com. She's the founder of digital publishers Club Media FZE and the award-winning website brideclubme.com, which brings together 8 years of wedding industry experience, media and marketing knowledge with the passion to wider wedding community through the wedding concert service. Such a pleasure to have you with us. Over to you, Rhiannon.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi guys, welcome to the Future of the MICE and Wedding Planning Industry webinar. Massive thank you to the Exotic Wedding Planning Conference for having us here today and for putting this on and for allowing us to enter into a much needed dialogue right now during global health crisis. Thank you very much to our esteemed panel members as well for joining. And thank you to all of you guys who are joining in today. I can see the numbers rising as you're all logging in. So to get started, we are currently looking into 5 key areas during this webinar. These are areas that we feel people want to know more about, want to learn more about. And the areas are crisis management and consumer evolution, event protocol and health and safety, so reassuring the consumer, contracts and flexibility, you know, how our contract's going to change due to everything that's happened. Communication and access to critical information. So where can the industry and brides and people looking to host events find regular updated information, and marketing, preparing for a comeback. So can all the panelists please turn on your mics and your cameras so we're all together, because at the moment I can only see myself. So guys, tuning in today, if any of you have any questions, you are more than welcome, as Sri said, to leave them in the Q&A box, or if you have a real pressing question that's relevant to what we're talking about at the time, you are welcome to raise your hand and pose the questions as well, and we'll see if we can answer them. And I do believe that you can actually go live on camera with your question, so you don't just have to type it. Okay, guys, panelists, are we all ready?
Yes.
Good, good. Okay, so we'll crack right into it. Let us start with where things stand now. Okay, as of today, what are the official directives when it comes to events being held? Let's talk about Dubai for now, in Dubai. And if we can also touch on both MICE and social wedding event gatherings. And then, Dr. Ali, we can talk about, you know, what's happening in Bahrain as well. So shall we start with yourself, Steen?
Yes, thank you, Rhiannon, and good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by saying that I hope that everyone are doing well. I hope that your friends, your families, and your colleagues are keeping safe and healthy during these times that are challenging for all of us. And our thoughts are definitely with everyone that either has been or are being affected by the pandemic. First of all, I think it's important to remind ourselves that in the case of Dubai, that after a quite long and also very sudden lockdown in March, April, and May, both Dubai and the UAE has come an incredibly long way and made significant progress in reopening the economy in a relatively short period of time. It's also important to remember that throughout this, the #1 priority has been the safety and the health of residents, citizens, and visitors in Dubai and the UAE. And therefore, the opening, as we have seen it, has been gradual, it's been controlled. And today, I think we're seeing the positive effects of such a strategy. And while also, unfortunately, we see many other countries around the world that has to go back into lockdown and reintroduce measures because of moving forward too quickly, Dubai and the UAE seems to be making steady progress because of the right strategy being followed. Now, this controlled and gradual strategy also applies to the tourism and hospitality sector. As of now, hotels, holiday homes, restaurants, shopping malls, beaches, tourist attractions are all operating again. They are operating under new guidelines that have been issued to ensure the health and safety for everyone who visits or are a part of it. And those are guidelines that are issued according to protocols that the Dubai Supreme Committee for Disaster and Crisis Management has issued. This is also further demonstrated by the fact that we have newly launched our Dubai Assured program to certify and recognize hotels, restaurants, shopping malls, and attractions that all have implemented these public health protocols. And on top of that, Dubai, among many other destinations, recently received from the World Travel and Tourism Council the safe travel that validates the hygiene and safety protocols that are put in place. When we look at meetings and trainings, so those are smaller professional gatherings, they have all resumed. They can be held now in hotels and at convention centers. There are guidelines that have been issued for those to ensure that they are implemented with social distancing, with sanitation, hygiene, and so on. As of now, conferences, exhibitions, weddings, parties, and celebrations are still suspended, though. at this point, and many wants to know this, of course, when will those type of events, when will they be able to resume? As of now, we don't have a specific date for that, but provided everything goes well and Dubai and the UAE continues to be on this positive track in making progress fighting the pandemic, we are hopeful and we expect that we should see some sort of announcements come in August, and that we can see such conferences and exhibitions resume by Q4 2020.
So does that also include weddings? August, maybe some announcements?
That is not confirmed at this stage, but we're hopeful that we can see those events also be resuming as we enter Q4.
Okay, thank you. So definitely slow, steady, and ensuring the safety of obviously all the residents of Dubai and those visiting Dubai being top priority. Dr. Ali, can you give us a bit of insight into Bahrain when it comes to kind of, you know, meetings, events, and weddings? What is the current protocol there?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for this webinar, and also to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the all participants, because you know, talking some, I'm sure we have from east till the west. So hi everybody, and to the panelists. Since the first day of this pandemic, the Kingdom of Bahrain, you know, started from the first day where they established the National Task Force for combat coronavirus COVID-19. It was headed by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and they did tremendous job. Everything was in systematic, and we never had a lockout or even a semi-lockout in Bahrain, never. As of today, I can say between 48 to 50% of the population of Bahrain being tested, and this is not just the citizens, even the workforce, the expats, and everybody. So and that's really a good number. So as far as the business is concerned, of course, BPA drafted precautionary operating guidelines for tourism, which we call it protocol, and that's been based on WHO, based on UNWTO, and practices applied regionally, internationally, and that was between April and May of this year. And we had a meeting with the National Task Force and also with Ministry of Health. Of course, there were many received their remarks and so many reviews, and hopefully during this month or next month, the guidelines can be circulated to all tourism establishments once it's been approved, and that's going to be through our digital media, our office in India, and so on. So that's as far as the protocol is concerned. But having said that, still we are receiving many orders, like anything been pending beginning of this year, it's been postponed to next year, and our clients are, as far as the MICE, we have like from India, we have the gas MICE meeting, we have the pharmacies industry, they meet, and they are insisting to do it in Bahrain, and we said things are open. Also the weddings. So yes, we are there. Back on your question about August or September, no one can give you a definite date, but I think things are improving. People even worldwide are more relaxed now. Now we start hearing about vaccinations, like in the Russians and UK, the Oxford University, along with the Americans. And so these are all positive news. People are more relaxed, more but of course, the distance, the social distance, and so on. That's all these things being reflected positively on the governments, on the Ministry of Health, on the protocols, and so on. You know, the first days, everybody remember the panic. Everybody was panic. Everybody was thinking tomorrow will be people will die or something like that already. But thanks God, you know, we are learning day by day. Everybody's learning, and I think things are going or towards the right. Yes.
So thank you for that, Dr. Ali. It's good to have some insight into what's happening out there in Bahrain as well. So, I mean, you talk about panic and, you know, people's initial reaction. That follows on to my next question, which is, in the wake of the pandemic, have you seen a shift and change in consumer behavior and expectations when it comes to wedding and event inquiries, even if they might be for next year? You know, the sort of inquiries that you might be getting. I think I'm going to pose this more to the hoteliers and the planner. You know, when you are getting those inquiries, are you getting any specific, you know, I really want this to be taken into consideration when I have my wedding or an event at your venue or with you as a planner? Can I start with you, Tasneem? The requests that you're getting for weddings or social events?
Sure. Hi, everyone, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. So the requests that we are getting at the moment are basically, it's just the unanswered question, like how many people will the wedding be allowed for? How is the food going to be served? Is it going to be buffet? Is it going to be seated? How is the social distancing going to take place? And obviously the health and safety measurements that the hotels are taking. So these are the main questions that us as wedding planners have been facing for next year. So yeah, and we have had also the inquiries that we already had, which some of them have got cancelled, including destination inbound Dubai and also destination outbound. For those inquiries, the couples have either opted to do a very small ceremony, or they've actually opt to wait until next year. So yeah, once they have the questions answered, which we're all waiting for, and it's slowly and steady, it's happening, it's positive. So yeah, we're very optimistic about it.
Okay, and Saida, from a hotelier perspective, what inquiries are you seeing? What questions are you getting in regards to people potentially wanting to book their weddings and events at your venue during this crisis and you know, in the future?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to everyone attending the webinar. Thanks for the invite as well. In terms of the inquiries, people are kind of becoming very, very educated about the pandemic and the future, and they come with suggestions and a lot of questions that concern the health and safety. Surprisingly, we're still receiving inquiries for Q4 2020 with the hope that that everything changed. Now, the primary questions would be, as Tasneem said, the food service. They know that the buffet won't be allowed or will be allowed with different restrictions. People are now going more into pre-plated or individual food service in terms of, like, if they have Mehndi, they will go and ask, is there any possibility to have themed food boxes for a small function for the youngsters, for example? Is there any way that you can coordinate with my wedding planner to have the logo? So people are already thinking ahead of solutions before they come to you. Also, a primary question, do you have health and safety management within the resort? and that's something that people are focusing on when the lead comes. What is the setup that's gonna be in my functions? Are you abiding with the social distancing? How many people will you be having on the floor? The hygiene protocol for the personnel, for what the crisis management within your resort, isolation room in case someone shows symptoms, and all these questions started coming with every single lead.
Wow.
Thank God we have everything in place. As I said, they're really educated now, and they're into the pandemic, and they come ready for the questions. Thankfully, we have a system in line with the relevant government entities, and everything is applied within the resort through our crisis management, through our health and safety, following Dubai municipality and following Dubai tourism authorities, obviously.
Okay. Okay, and Zeynep, would you say it's very similar for you, or have you seen anything slightly different when it comes to your hotels that you take care of?
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say we missed our partners around the world, so hopefully soon travel will ease in and we will see them soon in Dubai and around the world. For us, yes, Saida briefly mentioned about all the measures taken. I think it is more or less the same for every key property. For our case, we have two different actually properties. For Raffles Dubai, we are already all safe labeled besides the Dubai assured regulations in place. And for our opening property, Sofitel Dubai Wafi, a pre-opening post-COVID became a very nice practice for all of us, because we are already aware of what our guests and partners are asking for in terms of health and safety, and we are putting everything in place even before the opening right now. So safety and hygiene was always the one of the decision areas for our partners, but now I think it is the prime one.
Okay. Okay, excellent. And so we're gonna move on to event protocol and health and safety, because that is really prevalent. It's on the top of everybody's mind, the tip of everybody's tongue when they're looking to host any type of event. That's what they're looking for. They want to know. So to the tourist boards and hoteliers specifically, when MICE and destination weddings are once again, kind of fully resumed, what is likely to be the compliance procedures and protocol you propose for those who are traveling in to have destination weddings, to have their business business events, conferences, etc.? I know it's a very big question, but I mean, do you have kind of like a little roadmap of what these people can expect when they travel in for, I mean, let's say destination weddings, for example? Steen, would you like to start?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we've already made some head start on this in Dubai, because today it's exactly 2 weeks ago since Dubai opened its borders for international tourists. We have been seeing, albeit still a small number, but we have welcomed the first tourists into Dubai since July 7th. By then, a number of strict protocols were put in place to ensure, again, the safety and the health of everyone entering Dubai, and also, of course, all citizens and residents. So, what does this include? Well, it includes for travelers coming to Dubai that in advance of arriving in Dubai, they need to declare any health issues that they may have. So that's in the shape of a form that is being handed out by the airline, and you fill it in, and you declare any health issues that you may have, and you submit that form when you arrive at the airport in Dubai. You also undergo thermal screening when you arrive at Dubai airport, and in addition, visitors they are required to show a negative COVID-19 test certificate for a test that has been conducted within the last 96 hours. And if they can present such a certificate, then together with the health declaration form and the thermal screening, that is enough for you to enter Dubai. If you don't have a test certificate, you will receive a PCR test in Dubai Airport. They have set up a system, very well organized, very, very smooth and very quick. So for everyone coming in that doesn't have a test done at home before traveling, they would get a test done by medical professionals at the airport in Dubai. The result will be sent to you on your mobile phone within 12 to 14 hours. Until you receive the result, you're required to self-quarantine. So that may be stay in your hotel or stay in whatever accommodation that you have. But as soon as you receive the result of the test, and provided it's negative, you're free to move around, enjoy your holiday, and go about whatever you had in mind. In case that the test should be positive, you are required to self-quarantine, and there are also facilities that can accommodate visitors who needs to quarantine. So access to Dubai has become available again, also because Emirates are back in the skies, Fly Dubai are back in the skies. Emirates is now operating to, I think, 50 destinations worldwide. Fly Dubai is flying to another 20 destinations, and around 15 international carriers have also resumed their regular operations to and from Dubai. As I mentioned before, events continue to be suspended for a while longer. Once they resume, we can expect some similar protocols for visitors entering, as I just talked about. And one other thing I want to mention is that we're very excited when it comes to especially the MICE business, because it was only Thursday last week that we hosted the first live face-to-face event again in Dubai for more than 4 months. A conference taking place at our convention exhibition center called AI Everything.
I was there. It was brilliant.
And that was a great test that implemented all the various protocols in terms of hygiene, social distancing, contactless transactions, and many other things that could show that events. And this event had upward towards 1,000 people attending, that you can do mass gatherings in a safe and controlled environment where everyone feels safe. And the fact that people came out, everyone attended, so many attended this conference, show that face-to-face events are definitely not going to go away. And as soon as we all are back in such events, knowing that they are conducted in a safe environment, we will be there. So that was a very important learning for us here in Dubai. And all the things that you normally expect when you go to a big gathering, whether it's networking or celebrating or learning and education, all these things can still happen. You just got to be a little bit mindful of your own behavior. So that was very positive, and we expect the guidelines for meetings and conferences and events, that they will be very similar to what we saw at that conference we held last week.
Yeah, as mentioned, I was there. It was so impressive. I had some anxiety attending, to be honest. But when I went there, I felt just so safe, and the staff, you could see the smiles behind everybody's kind of masks, because everybody was just so excited. I actually shed a tear because I was so emotional. But yeah, no, well done. And Dr. Ali, in regards to Bahrain, I know Bahrain is quite popular for destination weddings with the Indian community, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, would you be following similar sort of protocol when it comes to large bookings and people coming in for events and business meetings into Bahrain, or are you?
Well, this is not my first webinar. We've been in many, or I've been in many different webinars, and I think the things will start changing. If you think the situation post-COVID-19 will remain as a pre-COVID, I think you are dreaming. Okay, it will take time for the big fat wedding to be back. Okay, this is number one. The big mice meetings, everything that will it will take time. If you see the aviation industry, aviation industry, they are saying that the 2019 volume of business will be back on 2023. Okay, so so I think thing will go step by step. You know, it won't the previous picture. I don't think it will be back that soon. Back to your let's say about Bahrain. As I said, as soon as the guidelines will be approved, hopefully soon, things will be circulated among all our stakeholders. Now, currently, of course, we have so many international hotel chains, and they are applying their protocol. So like the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, the Sofitel, the Hilton, etc., all of them are applying their international protocols, and the situation has encouraged the local tourism, you know, for this kind of business. So in Bahrain, many hotels are receiving, you know, they are getting their business from the locals, okay, locals and residents. So that's I remember the first webinar we attended with the UNWTO, United Nations World Tourism Organization, and that was in end of March, beginning of April. They said the COVID will encourage the domestic tourism, okay, and it's true. And it's time to start thinking about the domestic, you know. So anyway, as far as the Indian, you mentioned about the Indian weddings, still the family, the wedding planners are chasing us, and we are very, very happy for that, you know. And we know that, let's say by November, December, things will have some weddings. The first quarter of 2021, we will have other weddings. So, and that's based on our relationship with the families, our relationship with the Indian wedding planners. We are really extremely happy that still they are insisting that to have their weddings in Bahrain. But of course, things will be a little bit different till hopefully things will be back, and we'll see, you know, the previous, let's say, experience or images or the Indian wedding will be back. It will be back. I remember my first meeting with, I had an interview with Bahrain TV, and that was, I believe, again, that was in March or in April. And I told them that I'm here not to talk about COVID-19. I'm here to talk about post-COVID-19, you know, and what we are planning. And that's the difference between leaders and managers, you know. So we have always to think ahead. So yes.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. You know, the domestic market is very important. I mean, even at Bride Club, we've seen quite a big increase in couples who have chosen now to keep their weddings specifically in Dubai, because we focus on the UAE, but they're having smaller, more luxury celebrations. And so now they're looking for kind of alternative venues, and it's just very interesting to see that shift. So, okay, hoteliers, Tasneem, I did have a question for you, but it's a bit of a repetitive question, so I think I'm going to skip that one. To the hoteliers, so could you kind of elaborate a little bit more in terms of the health and safety procedures you have or will be putting into place to reassure guests, especially wedding guests who will be potentially booking their weddings with you in your venue? So for example, when it comes to food, so you've spoken about buffets being a concern. And, you know, with some cultures, buffets, it's always buffets at weddings, right? Talk us through the procedures that you are now working on, that you are going to be implementing when it comes to the events. I'm assuming you are putting them into place. Zeynep, would you like to start?
Let me start this time. So first of all, we have looked into all procedures from the very beginning. Actually, when meeting our guest or our partner, we are using our contactless business cards right now to reduce the contamination. When we are offering site inspections, now it is one of the new normal. Actually, we are offering virtual tours around the world. We are still in contact with many of our destination planners. So virtual tours became a new norm for our industry. For the protocols, when we are offering for the future, for sure, currently social gatherings are not still permitted, and we started to receive some leads actually Q4 and January onwards, which is amazing because people for sure continue to dream about their special day, continue to dream about coming together. Yes, it will take time, but it will be there. It will come again. So for all procedures, be it the contactless payment, QR coded menus, both hotels, all outlets, we designed our QR coded menus, including the banquet menus. For food tastings also, we even are ready to make the presentations through some virtual alternatives, but we will be waiting for the planners and couples to come and taste for sure closer to the date. I think it's very important to keep our partners updated regularly, since every single day, actually sometimes within a day, things are changing. So until now, I think 7 or 8 versions we have done for our partners letters and guest letters, how they will be welcomed in the hotels, how they will be taken care of. So the procedures on the room sanitizations, the procedures on how our colleagues are well taken care of, having the masks, having the health checks while entering the hotel. Same applies for our guests. Currently, it is also mandatory in Dubai to have the masks for sure. But for events, the social distancing capacity charts already proactively in place. We revise all our digital collateral in that sense. And currently, we are giving our offers for Q4 and the next year. And we are always highlighting that we will be flexible enough when the changes are expected. I think this is the least we can do.
Okay, thank you. And Saida, would you like to add to that?
It's basically same as what Zeynep said. In addition, what we have done as well, we have done all different setups for all our venues with social distancing based on the last communication received from Dubai Tourism Authorities for small meetings, trainings, and so on. So we've done that, and we've done some banquet setups with maximum capacity, keeping the social distancing in mind. So that's a way of communication now that we are communicating with, to show the actual setup, how it's going to be in case the setup is round, in case it's theater, in case if it's classroom for meetings, and of course implementing this distancing practices at the meeting. As I said, we are receiving inquiries. We also implement that for our internal meetings as like trials on internal meetings, then to implement it for paid guests, venues and room setup configuration, as I mentioned, temperature scanning at any entry point before accessing the venues, in place isolation policy, as I mentioned. If anybody shows symptoms, that's very important, and people ask about that when they are inquiring. Prevention kits as well is something that we're looking at to place in the meeting rooms and including social events as well. something also is very important, attendees tracing. So we have done our documents that every single person attending a meeting or attending a social event, we will have the data for the attendees. Let's say I have 30 packs engagement in the future, then I would know who's attending. I have 30 people, their email address, their mobile numbers, in case something happens. Tracing attendees, yeah, and also the same will be applicable for meetings. Of course, 24/7 availability of nurse in case needed, or which is the normal things, and as well as blocking the room for 24 hours to sanitize for the next function or for the next guest in case of small meetings started coming up, and booking at this moment. That's also something that it's very common as a question from clients. In terms of food and beverage, we do have all safety measures in place following the municipalities guidelines. We do recommend for like boxed meals for our guests. For inquiries coming in 2021, still guests are asking for buffet, still guests asking for family style service. We do respond to the inquiries, but we do give them also that pre-plated is the highly recommended food service. Boxed lunch for small, like bachelor party or something, small lunch box. So there is no contact at all. You're not using the same utensils to get your food. So that's something that we also do now for following the instructions. Alternatively, we do have the restaurants. In case if we have full day meeting, then we will have coffee break items as boxed or served individually, and then the restaurant for lunch, following again the social distancing and all the guidelines given by the relevant authority. So that's the focus on food and beverage. Again, people, they're still insisting on food tasting. I want to know if I'm going to be able to do food tasting. Yes, we will provide food tasting differently. As I mentioned earlier, it will be miniatures, it will be boxed individually, and then you can taste it with the presentation that you will have on the day of the event. Then with Jaya the resort, we do have multiple and variety of outdoor venues. Now the outdoor venues are playing a huge role the time of the pandemic, because I would say that 80 to 90% from the social leads, social events leads and weddings, the focus is on outdoor venues. Luckily, we don't have the capacity. We can accommodate due to the beach venues. We have gardens and multiple venues, and that will be I believe that will be the highest selling venues in the upcoming months and in 2020. So yeah, so that's what we also recommend at the moment. Definitely, an event, it's not only front of house, it's back of house, which plays a huge role. So we do follow also the health and safety measurements back of house, either in the kitchen, in our bars, during our briefings, sanitization practices for all our equipments and all our back of house materials and equipments we're using. In addition, we will be labeling everything sanitized, so the client, when they come, everything is obvious that it's sanitized and it's been washed, cleaned, and ready to be used by individuals.
I think I'm going to feel almost safer being in a hotel than I am at home by the sounds of it. Yeah, very impressive. Okay, so we've covered that quite thoroughly. So let's move on now to contracts and flexibility. And Tasneem, I think I'm going to start with you on this one. So, I mean, you know, we've got to be, as Dr. Ali said, you know, we have to be realistic. You know, there's always a chance that there may be another wave and another lockdown, an intense one. So should wedding planners, hotels, tour operators plan for the short term or completely reimagine the way business is being done considering the possibility of the 7 wave? So for example, are you adapting and changing event contracts, being more flexible with payment terms and refunds? I'd like to pose that to you, Tasneem, first.
Yes, we have definitely changed our terms and conditions in our contracts, and we're working closely with the hotels as well. So let's say if there is a chance of a second wave, then we'll have our terms and conditions in place. We're very flexible with the refund policy as well. So we just want our bride and groom and our clients to be comfortable to come to us so they can have the dream wedding in the dream destination. And this being Dubai, we are very confident that, and as I said, very optimistic that people will come to Dubai to have the weddings here. But if they don't have a security of knowing if the money is going to get refunded, what if there is a second wave, can the date be postponed to another date? So all those terms and conditions we've actually put down in our contract. And as I said, working closely with the hotels. So we're all on the same page. So we've had that question quite a few times, that if I do decide to do my wedding in November and the second wave does come, how do we work this out? So we have pretty clear rules on that. Yeah.
It seems to be a big concern with the brides at the moment, at least the ones that I'm speaking to you. And Zeynep, what's it like there with the hotels in terms of contracts and flexibility?
Thank you. So actually it is more or less the same. First of all, in main contracts, both for weddings and MICE, the force majeure clause always covers the pandemic. So, but it's important this timing that to assure our guests that even if there is a second wave or if their loved ones will not be able to fly to that important day, that's the main reason why they are organizing the wedding. That we will be flexible enough. So currently for Raffles, for example, we have postponed so many of weddings, some cancelled, some MICE events, and we fully refunded the amounts. If it's postponed, we secure the amount. We are also working on some very interesting packages, like they confirm right now and they celebrate later, and in that one we are saying that they have several options to change dates or to postpone depending on how the pandemic evolves. Hopefully it ends soon, but as Dr. Ali mentioned, it will be with us for some time and we all have to adapt ourselves accordingly.
Absolutely. Saida, the same for you at JA?
It's the same thing. Yes, we had cancellation, we had refunds, and we had people postpone their weddings. And for the new inquiries as well, they ask for the same thing. And yes, we do have flexibility on moving dates, obviously subject to availability on the second preferred date. And as Zeynep said, it is considered a force majeure, and we will have to deal with it as a force majeure.
Okay.
Yeah, shall I
Dr.
say?
Ali?
Yeah, we had experience. It wasn't force majeure, but I think Gulf Air played a great job with our national carrier, with the family. It was an Indian family, and they refund them 100%. And also another hotel, I can say it's a Sofitel hotel in Bahrain, and again they refunded the full amount to the family. It wasn't for Saudi. So, but we as a Bahrain Tourism and Exhibition Authority, we are always next to the family and their wedding planner, and we've been very well known for that. Whatever we provide to the family, maybe very few destination does that. And that's why in very short period of time, Bahrain come up as a destination for the weddings, and mainly for the Indian because of the role of BTA. And many families become like ambassadors for us back home. Yeah. So I think this is very important point.
Yeah. And having been to Bahrain myself, I actually went on a review for Bride Club. It was lovely. I really enjoyed my stay there. It was wonderful.
We'll see you again soon.
Inshallah.
Everybody.
Inshallah. I would love to come back. So for the hotels, I want to talk virtual offerings. So virtual venue tours are proving to be popular with potential destination weddings who cannot easily travel into the destination, between countries at the moment to scope out venues for their events. Is your hotel offering virtual tours? I know, Zeynep, you said you do. And if so, has this offering benefited your venues? Have you seen kind of, like an increase in potential business as a result of you offering these 3D tours? Saida?
Pardon. Yes. Now we are working on the virtual tours now at the moment. So as I mentioned earlier, what we've done is setups with social distancing, and we are doing several floor plans and doing setup layout for the clients. We do send previous events videos, but we explain the social distancing. We give them the new setups that we've done and everything, but the virtual tours are under process and we're working on it now as well.
Okay. And Zeynep, you have this in place, right? You offer the 3D tours, the virtual tours?
For both properties, actually, we already benefited from that. We were able to confirm one of the very first weddings. Actually, for a pre-opening, it's great to be confirmed by a virtual tour too. And what we do is generally we organize a webinar. We, like Saida mentioned, use also some old videos and digital collateral. Then after a full presentation, we put them through on a Zoom call so that on this site they can ask their questions live, so that rather than just offering a pre-recorded tour, our wedding professionals or event team by the partner taking their questions live, and I think this makes a major difference. Absolutely,
yeah. I mean, if anything good's come out of this, it's the fact that we're learning how to embrace technology a bit more, right? And Tasneem, I mean, come on, you and I, we really don't want to see Zoom weddings being a thing, do we? But let's, I mean,
no.
But they have happened.
And weddings, it's all about celebration, embracing each other. It's all about, it's not about a bride and a groom or a couple coming together. It's all about families. It's two families who are marrying, who are bringing their extended family, and they're bringing their extended family. So, it's a big celebration. So I personally am not a fan of a Zoom.
Let me ask the question first. Hold on. Let me ask.
I get so excited when I hear
this. Okay, so there has been a slight increase in the phenomenon of Zoom weddings, especially in the UK. But how can wedding and event planners use this interplay, so between actual physical weddings and then virtual events, to attract new customers? Do you see the two being combined more often in the future? So say, for example, like our grandparents, many of us might be nervous to have our grandparents fly over for our weddings because of their, health. So could it be that there's a physical wedding while at the same time people are tuning in? Yeah. Like, can you see that being a thing in the future?
I can, even though I'm not a big fan of it. But as I said, what Dubai being, Dubai government, Dubai tourism, the hotels, the safety measure that we're taking, the numbers dropping, it's something that gives us as wedding planners and, someone who likes to create magic, to be so confident to go out there and tell our clients that, listen, Dubai is a safe city. It's opening up. It's just a matter of time until we know if it's going to be 30, 50, 100 or 150 people who are going to be allowed. But in the meantime, as you said, for children, for adults, for elderly people, why not? Why can't we create a wedding, as Saida said, an outdoor wedding where we have a live stream, where the elderly is in the home can actually view and be a part of the wedding just because they can't travel. So absolutely, I see that for sure. Smaller weddings, when it comes to Zoom weddings and stuff, with 10 people, yes, we can create that. big production into a small little production, and we can make it look beautiful. Of course we can do that, but you know, we want the music there, we want the Bahrain, we want people to have fun. So we are very optimistic, especially in the way that Dubai Tourism has handled it and the Dubai government has handled it. We are very confident to go out there and market ourselves for sure. So yeah.
I think the wedding industry has been like one of the hardest hits, really.
Yeah,
But
really
I think
yeah.
the people
so
in the industry are so creative and so innovative that, you know, you just can't hold them down, and they'll create anything. If you give them a brief, you'll create it. So okay, so let's talk access to critical information. So I mean, I'm sure the hoteliers, I'm sure those working in the tourist boards, I mean, all of us have been inundated by questions from friends, colleagues, industry, what's happening, when, you know, and we can't even answer them ourselves sometimes. So the question, is there any merit in establishing a common platform that serves as a hub to access free of charge information for all of those working in the industries when it comes to weddings and events of all kinds? So updates, announcements, regulations, and how do we optimize the flow of communication to address the sentiments and concerns of all those on the ground? Who wants to answer that question first? Steen?
Yeah, maybe if I can have a go at that first. But just before speaking to that, can I just refer back to the conversation on the virtual component you had just before?
Oh yes, sorry, yeah.
Where yeah, I do agree that when it comes to weddings and celebrations, I think it's a bit of an odd thing. But when you look at how it's been integrated for many meetings and conferences, it's actually been I think embraced in a very positive manner, in the sense that organizers and corporations that do meetings and conferences, they found out that by incorporating a virtual component in, so their events are hybrid, they can reach a larger audience, an audience of people that perhaps wouldn't attend the face-to-face event, but all of a sudden they can be included and they can participate. So I think there are some positive components and bits and pieces from what the virtual world is now offering us. Back to your question in terms of communication. I think because this is, as we've heard so many people say, this is unprecedented. We've never been through this before. Then we're all hungry for information. We all need to know what's happening and we need trusted go-to sources where we can find this information. So that's become very clear from the very beginning for us at Dubai Tourism, that we needed to be one of those sources of information, and that's been a key strategy for us to provide this accurate and timely information. And we've done it through a number of different ways. So webinars like this one today has been one of the tools that we've used as well. We've organized hundreds of webinars with thousands of delegates all across the world in many regions to provide updates on what's happening in Dubai. And that's just been one way for us to stay in touch with our network, our key stakeholders, clients and partners, and to provide them with information about what was happening in Dubai. For the local audience, our senior management, our Director General, he's been holding several online sessions where he's been providing updates to our industry partners. He's been answering questions that have come in to ensure that everyone who's been working in and who are part of the hospitality and tourism industry in Dubai, they know what the current situation is. We've created an online hub on our website on visitdubai.com where all the information sits, both information that are relevant to local industry partners, hotels, venues, restaurants, attractions, and so on. So the guidelines are sitting there on our website. And equally, there's also information available to international visitors, tourists, who needs to know if I'm going to Dubai on my vacation during the pandemic, what do I need to be mindful of in terms of what I talked about before. We've been using our social media channels. They're extremely powerful. I think we've all found ourselves scrolling social media constantly in this pandemic because we are just craving information. So we've used that tool as well in Dubai Tourism. And then finally, the conversations, even the old-fashioned conversations, I guess what it is now, you pick up the phone, you call someone, and have that conversation is important as well. We've made ourselves available at Dubai Tourism, including myself, my team, and the network of offices that we have worldwide, simply to get on the phone and speak to people to provide that information. So it's been critical, and we're not over it yet. So communication will maintain a key strategy for us.
Yeah, I think we've all become a lot more approachable during the pandemic, right? So we're moving on to our last question because we've got a lot of questions coming in apparently from people. So the last question, and this carries on from communication. Lastly, how important is marketing and communication to you when it comes to messaging? And obviously positioning your destination or hotel, or obviously yourself, your business, Tasneem, in a new era when it comes to weddings and events. Will you be working on new campaigns to showcase your offerings and capabilities to host such important events in the new era? Can I put this to you, Dr. Ali, because obviously marketing?
Yes. Well, actually, yes, we've been, we've been working heavily on the digital media and our campaign. And just slightly, I'll just talk about the communication. I'm sure most of you in your PCs, this webinar or Microsoft Teams, it was laying there dead. Nobody knew about it. Nobody even think about it. Okay, I recall when. And that was in April, I believe, end of March, in April, the authority came to us, and they say, we need the exhibition center. When they said, if possible, the same day. Imagine your offices, everything, and we say, fine, we'll give it to you. How can you live with it? We say, well, yes, we can live, because everything's been IT. We have all the files in our, been I don't know, I'm not that good in IT. We have this Microsoft Teams, we have everything. Next day, we are in the new offices, and we left our exhibition center and I think that was the best decision being made to be used for the COVID-19. And then I believe Dubai has done the same thing, and Saudi Arabia, the Riyadh, and so on. So anyway, back to your point. So digital, yes, we had so many campaigns. We will meet, hashtag we will meet, and we use the Bahraini, it's not the Arabic, it's like the dialogue, everybody loves Bahraini dialogue, I mean, if you go to Saudi Arabia, to UAE, to Kuwait, they love Bahrain accent, the Bahrainis accent. So we said, ولهن عليكم, which is, I don't know how to translate it in Arabic, hashtag ولهن عليكم, which is, we really miss you, and it works. Here we are in Bahrain, we will meet, and so on. So I think number one, the campaign, the digital, social media. That's everything, and we had really, and the short videos, the movies, and so on, English, Arabic. We have Bahrain, now we activate, of course, we have Bahrain Island Wedding.com. We have hashtag Bahrain Ours Yours India, which is for India. Now we have Bahrain Ours Yours English, which is for the European market. We have hashtag Bahrain Our Yours Arabic, which is for GCC, and so on. And again, don't take COVID-19 as really bad. There are good things, believe me. There are good, which we start highlighting about it, and I'm sure all of you are definitely agree with me. But the good days will come back. Good days will come back.
Inshallah, yeah, they will. Who would like to add to that? So communication, marketing, campaigns, how important is that to you now moving forward into the new era? Saida, for the hotel group?
Yes, definitely. Marketing is a backbone for all of us, I think. And as Dr. Ali said, we've done our hashtags in March, like stay safe, we're all in this together. See you soon, we miss you, all of that. And then, of course, we will still keep going with the marketing in terms of weddings, the updates, the events and meeting protocols, as I mentioned earlier, being in touch with our wedding planners and give them regular updates through all social media platforms with videos, pictures, collaterals. Of course, marketing will always be there, and as I mentioned, it is our backbone.
Yes.
Yeah, and
okay,
would
anyone like to
yeah, same for us as well. We've been just keeping ourselves busy on social media, making sure to tell our brides that your wedding is not cancelled, it's just around the corner, and it will happen. It's just a matter of fact when. So staying apart just brings the heart co-founder. So that's what it is. Yeah.
And obviously brideclubme.com is there for you all. If you need me, you've got my email address, okay? So apparently we have got lots of Q&As coming, and so Shri, would you like to kick off the Q&As?
Yes, Rio. Thank you everyone for giving us such a comprehensive look on the current challenges and also the best ways to address and overcome them. And I see that we have a host of questions from the attendees. We have
the group picture also for the panelists.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I'll take one. I'll send it to you.
Great. So we have a question from Bella Underwood from the USA. Good morning from Washington, D.C. It's a privilege and pleasure to join you. Okay, that is not a question, it's just a feedback. We have Terry Lowe. If you are small wedding ceremonies, what differentiates that from a gathering to a wedding? Say it's a wedding for 10 to 20 people. Isn't a small wedding the same as a gathering for a birthday, for example?
Okay, who would like to address that question? Tasneem, you're a wedding planner.
I think that I have the same question because you can. I think where she's coming from is probably in a restaurant we're allowed to, even though there is social distance, we're still allowed to. Like some of the restaurants are full here, so I think I've had that question a lot as well. That if the restaurants can be full, why can't we have a wedding where we have 20, 30 people as well, same capacity as a restaurant? So I guess I haven't got an answer to that because I wouldn't be able to answer that. But I don't know, Sten, could you help us out on that one? Now that the restaurants have opened up, as I said, people are asking why can't we do smaller gathering weddings with the same number of people? Why is that not allowed, and why is the restaurants allowed? Yeah.
Are you addressing that to Zeynep? I think the question was, obviously Dubai is such a melting pot of different cultures, ethnicities, religions. You have everything from like a 30-person small intimate garden wedding right through to 1,000-person huge massive 3-day wedding. But they're both the same. They're both a wedding. So can people technically have a wedding reception or a ceremony with 30 guests if restaurants can host people fully for dinner? I think that's the question.
Currently not. In terms of regulations, maybe Steen can inform more, but I will just share my point of view. I think weddings and celebrations are all about love. So we cannot keep ourselves like in a meeting, sitting in a table, dining around, keeping the social distancing. When we see our loved ones, when we want to share that love, we just go and hug, especially in this culture. So I think still we have to wait a little bit for that. Currently, we started to see more and more requests for intimate weddings, not only because of the pandemic, but people started to have a request for that. So we are offering different kind of suites, some outdoor venues, some pool gatherings, Q4 and onwards. But yes, in the dinner organizations, people book in restaurants for groups with the social distancing measures. However, when it comes to celebrations, I think we cannot keep ourselves to that measure.
Okay. Would anyone else like to add to that?
Yeah, just adding on it, I think it's very correct what Zeynep she's saying, and the way that it's been approached from our side and other authorities is that we've had to categorize a different type of activities. So whether it's a conference, a meeting, a training, a celebration, or a wedding, and all these things, they've been categorized accordingly and not so much on the size that they have. I know other countries, they've set some limits on how many people can attend a gathering or a mass gathering. Here, our approach has been the type of event in itself, for the very reason that Zeynep she speaks to. So celebrations and weddings and birthday parties and so on still continue to be suspended. We are also hopeful that we can resume them because we know that there is a demand in the market. So we would like to see them come back. But again, coming back to the point I made originally with the success that we've had in Dubai and the UAE, and the same also goes for our friends in Bahrain, it's because it's been a very controlled, slow, gradual opening. That's where we are today, and we're not seeing what other places are doing at the moment, which is rolling back and are going back into lockdown. So we need to be patient a little bit longer and follow the regulation that's out there. I wouldn't advise anyone sort of to try to bend the regulation in a sense that that you think your event can fit into another category. A little bit longer, a little bit more patience, and then I think that we'll get the green lights, and then we will all be clear.
Okay, I think the key is that social events and weddings are very emotional and very touchy and feely and tactile, which is, I guess, higher risk than quite a reserved, conservative business meeting, I suppose. So yeah. Okay, do we have any more questions, Sri?
Yes, I see that one of the attendees, Sarah, has raised her hand, so I'm just going to allow her to directly ask the questions to the panelists.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Sarah, can you hear us?
You need to put your microphone on, maybe. Okay,
hello.
Maybe. Hello.
Hello from Germany. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Well, in Germany, we got similar problems and try to manage them. And it's good for me to know or to hear the problems are kind of the same all over the world, and we're giving all our best to keep everything going and everything right for our clients to have a good time and be safe and celebrate the weddings and keep the industry going.
Thank you, Sarah. Do you have a question?
No.
Oh, bless you. Oh, well, thank you for your lovely comment and for your support. And thanks for tuning in today.
It seems that we have covered everything, so there is no room for any questions.
That was just a love.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks a lot for joining in.
We could all do with some love.
We could all do with a little love, for sure.
Thank you so much.
So Sri, any more questions?
Yes, we do have a question. I think this is for Dr. Ali from Farhad Roberts, who asks, some destinations have done digital campaigns stating a date of opening their borders, such as Dubai, by 6th July. Is there any estimation of borders opening for Bahrain? Are you allowing or encouraging different leisure tour operators and MICE event planners to sell Bahrain as of Q4 as of today?
Well, as far as the opening, nothing. We got, we've been hearing so many rumors about, for instance, King Fahad's Causeway, and these are all rumors. Of course, it's going to happen, but when, we'll leave it for the officials, and we sure that when it's going to happen, it will be happen to the benefit of what's going on. And Steen is quite right, stated that be patient. Bahrain, UAE, those countries are doing, step by step. We don't expect any backward. We don't want that. We are in the right direction. So hopefully it's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. It will happen. But me, honestly, I don't know when. But we're ready. We're ready for the opening, for the hotels, or for everything. So, but the decision is not in our hand. Of course, it's with the national committee. And the second question is about. Can you just remind me? It's about what? The second question, Ibrahim.
Shri?
Yes.
What was the second question?
Just give me 1 moment.
I think they were wondering about Q4, if they will be able.
Are you allowing or encouraging different leisure tour operators and MICE event planners to sell Bahrain as of today?
Yeah, of course. We are, as a matter of fact, we are dealing with not necessary Bahraini wedding planners, or we are dealing. I mean, like our case of India. Every day we have contact. Galper has a contact, our national carrier, and we are working. We are planning on November, December, first quarter of next year. And if you have also your own, by all means, why not?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Ali. So I think in the interest of time, we will be able to take a question or two. So we have a question from Dale Padre-Lennon, who asks, talking about social distancing, how many will you seat in a round table of 72-inch and for classroom as well? What would be the uniform or PPEs the servers will be using? What would be the ratio of your labor for a plated buffet, etc.?
Who's the engineer?
Yeah. Who can answer this question?
Or Zeynep in this?
Yeah, I think per venue it will definitely change, but we will be more than happy to contact directly. If right after the panel, if you can share our guests' email with us for all venues and for uniforms and standards, we will be very happy to share a detailed letter.
Okay, yeah, so just leave your email with the organisers and they will pass it on to the hoteliers to liaise with you directly for that question.
Yes, thank you. So we have, just taking the last question for today, we have Luciana asking, regarding weddings, do you think that a solution for this year and next year would be to have all guests tested 72 hours before the party, as it is one of the requests for lots of flight companies? So all guests, professionals could feel safer and slowly get the wedding party mood once we can't ask guests to be we cannot ask guests to be 2 meters apart from each other.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Tasneem and I actually, we have a business together, don't we? And we've been getting requests for potential future intimate proposals and events for everybody, including the staff, and anybody setting up to be COVID tested at request of the client. So can you see that? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that happen. We've already experienced that, as Rio said. It was a baby shower with 5 people, and the mother was very specific that she wanted everyone to be COVID tested, from our suppliers to the florists, whoever entered her house needed to be COVID tested. So what we did is within 48 hours, we got the tests done, and it was presented with the Emirates ID and a COVID test before entering her house. And as she mentioned, 72 hours before, at Steen also mentioned was that at the airport, if you haven't got a certificate, there is a test that can be taken at the airport, which if you're negative, you don't need to quarantine yourself. You can move willingly out and freely outside. So I think the measurements have been taken on that one for sure. So yeah.
Would anyone else like to add to that in terms of everybody getting tested 74 hours before an actual event? Do you think that's going to be something that's going to be common practice?
I think if it's a buyout of a property, then for sure I think that can be done, because then you just feel safe. It's only the wedding party who's there. Everyone's been tested, and whoever's, if there is someone who comes up positive, then obviously they have to quarantine themselves. So I think it might work out on a buyout for sure. So I don't know, Saida, if you come across this question for a buyout.
Yes, we do have, but before they reach the hotel, they will be tested at the airport, or they will have a test results. So that's going to be happening as per the country's rules. So before reaching us, everything at the moment with the current regulation, that's what's going to happen. Now, what's going to happen in the future once the social events are back to normal, that we'll have to wait for the authorities to give us the guidelines, and definitely we will have to follow that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've wrapped up, Sri, correct?
Yes, yes. So attendees, please note that if you have any more questions, you may write to us, and we would be happy to connect you with the speakers and share their inputs on the same. I think that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us from across the globe, and we hope that the session was valuable, and we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. Thank you to all the esteemed panelists for such an engaging and valuable discussion. Thanks for joining us.